Welcome to Live Courageous Podcast. We are in our beginning series. This is the 6th episode. Today's title is Outgrowing Who You Used to Be. And again, we're releasing old identities, labels, and seasons in our lives. Today I have a dear friend on with me. Her name is Chandra Green. She's going to give you some insight to her stories and to give you some practical techniques and information to take with you. Welcome, Chandra Green. She is a Maxwell leader also, guys. I'm bringing in the Maxwell team here. So she is one of my cohorts there in the Maxwell Leadership Team. And so we like to welcome her today to our show. Thank you for being
Wonderful.
here. Wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah. Always happy to be a part of any Maxwell Leadership cohort and group. So I'm excited to get into it today.
Right, for sure. So, are you becoming who God wants you to be? This is a question for the audience, a man or a woman. So think about that. So, Chandra, what does it actually feel like to outgrow a version of yourself during this season?
You know what? In all honesty, though it can be scary, it should be liberating. And if you're seeking God first in everything that you do, then it should actually come with an easy path ahead, because the understanding is that you would have done things like journaled, you would have definitely had it in prayer. And so I think becoming the person or walking into your purpose and becoming that person of stronger faith, I think it will be easy only when we release ourselves, right? When we release ourselves to what the calling is. I think it's a great question. Yeah. I think a lot of us do a lot of different things, but yeah.
Yes, okay. That's a good answer. Again, we're putting God in this, you guys. We are believers, so as you see this series going, you're going to see how God is moving within our lives. So again, why is growth so uncomfortable before it feels right, Chandra?
I think one of the reasons is that things are pulling in a certain way, and sometimes they might feel that they're pulling against the grain or against where you're going. But the truth is, it's just pulling you in a different direction. And so a good analogy would be your skin. When you have a scab, remember when we were young and we fall and bust up our knee, and as it's healing, as the skin is actually drawing back together or closing in, it was really tight and it was really uncomfortable. But that was something good that was actually happening, in your body and to your body. Our bodies heal themselves, and so that was something that was happening. But, we do put medicine on it to make it, we put Vaseline on it, Neosporin on it to make it a little more comfortable. And that's where things like, talking it over with a mentor, a friend, a spouse, or reading the word, reading books that actually help us move along, I think can help us to feel more comfortable when things are growing. And it feels uncomfortable.
For sure. And sometimes we don't like to have the unfamiliarities that comes about in our daily life, because if it doesn't seem familiar, we don't really want to cross that bridge. It seems like it's almost scary, if you don't know what your pathway is. So that's a good point that you mentioned there. And then, so sometimes, why does growth sometimes feel like a loss, though?
Ooh, because we have been with that fair weather friend of disappointment or negativity or doing it the wrong way for so long. We're actually saying goodbye to our old selves. So I think that's where the discomfort comes. Oh my goodness, there's something new that I'm needing to do. There's a new way that I need to think. There's a new route that I need to go. A new way that I need to actually grow. So that's what I think happens.
And as you're speaking, this topic hits close to my dear heart right about now. This is the season I'm in, but this is going to be your show. Mine's going to be on another day that I have to share. the things that this topic is pertaining to, but we're going to let Chandra shine here today. And so, some of the things that we sometimes look at, if you hold on to your old self, that's what it sounds like, you can't move
Yep.
forward.
Can't
Correct?
move forward.
Yes.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You can't move forward when you have, a 200-pound ball and chain connected to your leg,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to run a marathon, or you're trying to just move at a pace, any pace, 200-pound ball chained to your leg. Where do you think you're going to go? You got to let that ball go.
Mm-hmm.
You got to release that chain, or release the chains
Mm-hmm.
that are holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
And you have got to press forward and move forward step by step.
Yes.
Every day we are given a new day to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And the question that we should ask ourselves is, what is it that I want to do different? Or even, what is it that I want to become better at today that I wasn't walking in yesterday? And again, do something different. That's the only way. Keep moving, but do something different.
That is a good point. But it takes a strong mindset also to navigate those things. It's not an easy task. And I know you're going to give us some practical things of how we can move towards that. So it sounds like growth creates separation sometimes in our lives. And so we just have to know how to stop, pay attention to the situation, and navigate that situation when it comes. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Growth, we can't grow and stay in the same place. Those things are contradicting of each other, right? When you look at a beautiful plant, it doesn't, when you look at it, it's growing because it was at a different place yesterday. I watch my plants. If you've ever watched plants wither or draw in, and you put water on them and you come back 4 hours later, they're in a different place. Have you noticed that? They are beautiful. They're just in a different place.
Yeah.
So you can't have stillness and growth in the same. Not when the goal is to move and do something different. You just can't. Right. And so some of the things that we should do really is write a path out for ourselves. What does that look like? Give yourself 3 things, 3 goals, something different. They should be something different that you did, that you didn't try yesterday, to move you forward today. So today, my first day, I'm gonna write a list. I'm gonna journal. After I write that list, I'm just gonna journal to get all of whatever is coming up, top of mind for me, out and get it on paper. Glance over it, but I want to get rid of that because tomorrow I want to have a brand new day. I want to have a totally different path forward. And it is a mindset.
For sure.
Journaling really helps us in reference to changing our mindset, because we can journal about the person that we want to become. That's very important. We can reset our lives, reset our minds by journaling.
Yes.
Making a clear path plan. Working through the plan by moving your body, moving your mind, whether it's reading books, talking to others that have been where you currently are, and you've seen them grow into a different space. Why not pick their brain? That's something good to do.
For sure. So all of that Chandra just said, it sounds like determination is what the key point is in all of that. And so with that said, when has their growth, the time that you have grown, it feels lonely. I'm quite sure you know about that. When have you experienced that type of loneliness, being in the growth? I say growth stagnant point, even though it sounds like an oxymoron. You're growing, but you're kind of stagnant. What does that feel like, being in that space by yourself?
Yeah, a lot of times we are growing, but we don't give ourselves credit for the movement that we're currently making. And we're so hard on ourselves, thinking that, hey, I've been at this for 2 weeks and nothing different has happened. Well, that's not true. You've been at it for 2 weeks. You've been doing something different for 2 weeks. Trust me, 3 weeks ago, you were in a totally different place. But some of the times that I feel that I have moved forward, coming out of a bad marriage or a bad relationship and writing a clear path and plan for myself and working at it. And then being able to look back because writing in my journal, today is, March 6th. And then being able to come back on April 18th and say, oh my goodness, I have really made some progress here. I have made movement. I've gotten another job or a better job. I've gotten I've secured a different place to stay. I've moved my child into a better home. Whatever the case, may be.
Yes.
A lot of times, young people today are looking for better jobs or trying to find their voices in careers. And so, I deeply believe that, talking with others and finding out how they got where they are so that you can do something similar or just tailor it to your own skill set can actually still help you move along. Yeah. But it takes you changing the mindset to, I want to do something different. I want to be better. I want to grow. You can't do it without first changing your mind.
That's for
sure. And then giving yourself a plan and walking through that plan.
That is good information. So usually, did you expect people to come along with you in this growth factor?
Oh, wow, that's good. So what's funny about that is a lot of people expect others to pick up, their mantle, so to speak, and to travel in this with them. But no, growth is or can be very lonely. And so the reason that it's lonely is John may not need to grow in the same capacity that you're needing to grow in.
For sure.
So why would John go along with you? Now, John might be a good resource for you.
Right.
But John doesn't need to go down every aisle with you because John has already made it to where he wants to be. But he would be a good mentor. He would be a good advocate for you, maybe even a wonderful sponsor. Yes. But it's a lonely road when you grow, and you've got to be up for the challenge. You have to, again, make sure that you're determined with a positive mindset to see it through. It won't happen if you don't make up your mind that you're going to see this particular shift through.
I think you're talking to me right now. Thank you, sister. So, with that said, that's some good advice there. So, you know that you're saying these things. Sometimes people don't see it that way. They expect people to be right next to them and hope that, that person's going to be their cheerleader. But sometimes you're by yourself. You can stand alone, and as long as you have Jesus, he's going to continue to nudge you and keep going. It's the sounds of this whole thing. And as you were talking, I was just speaking to a dear friend as I was driving in, and the Holy Spirit just kind of hit me right there. And this young lady is going through a lot of things that you were just talking about, some of the things that you were just talking about. She is going through something very challenging. She's a single mom and dealing with her job situation. But this young lady, I'm amazed what God can do. From when I met her a year and a half ago, she literally had anxiety. She had depression. She will go to other things and other people to uplift her. And just speaking to her today, even yesterday when I spoke to her, and I just saw this shift, and she has this peace. She's moved away from her old self and the people that was there or that wasn't there, or the people that fed negative energy in her, and she's changed this whole thing around. But a lot of these things, again, we can't do this on our own. What you were saying, a lot of those things, it's an act of God. And so I told her, I said, do you mind if I share your story? And she said, yeah, of course, whoever is going to bless. But the situation lives, even the meeting she just came out of just now, it just kind of gave me just that, that relief, this person really has come from her old self, and she's accepting the what if. I'm a single mom, but what if, God has brought me through these things before. And so when we stop to pay attention, we grow out of what we were, because God has allowed us to grow from where we were and to step into new seasons. So I'm going to ask you, When did you realize a season in your life had ended, Chandra?
You know what? When I stopped resisting, to be honest. So I stopped resisting. I said, being spiritual. I said, God, have your way, because
Mm.
my way is not working, and I'm
Mm.
coming up short day by day. And the Lord said, trust me.
Mm.
Come up with your plan. I will bless your plan
Mm.
if you make it known to me exactly what it is that you want me to do for you.
Mm.
Because I believe in the kingdom. I believe that what I speak will come forth and come forward. And so that's exactly what I did. I made it clear, and God told me to use people around me. And so what that actually meant was that, hey, I told a person what I needed. Hey, I needed a safe place to stay.
Mm.
I needed a job, and a friend, was able to bless me,
Mm.
by mentioning it to someone else. So bless me with a place to stay, bless me with a job. And then from there, making other decisions, whether it was for me to go back to school or for me to be closer to, excuse me, family members, so that my child could have, a healthier upbringing. Those are things and big decisions that I felt were huge at the time. The other thing is, life is a lot different now than it was 30 years ago. And by that, I mean, though I can remember like it was yesterday, because sometimes, feeling like you're in despair, or remembering the disparity, remembering, how you were feeling. You were feeling, in despair, is real. And so you could really feel where you were. But the blessing is, again, what I can say, I was able to remove that gloom and doom.
Yes.
By relying deeply, heavily, and being committed to Christ. I don't mean walking around, I'm holier than thou, walking around, trying to preach to others, but I do mean walking and being quiet, listening to the Lord, and just talking in my spirit. Just meditating on a scripture. Just meditating on a scripture, whatever that scripture was for me for that day. Lord, I know you bring me peace. Lord, you are my peace. Lord, you are my Jehovah. You are my Jehovah Jireh. Whatever it is, I walked in it, and it just seemed like day by day, every day, a chain broke. A chain from the past broke. And then before you knew it, within 25 days, 45 days, 25 days, something happened. 45 days, something else happened.
Okay.
If you are dedicated to a change, a change will come. And you've heard that before.
Yes.
So none of the words we're saying are new, but the change will come.
Yes. And it sounds like you had freedom after you have gone through these things and mapped these things out. As you continue that journey, it's not an easy journey, you guys. It is a journey, but you have to take that journey. You can't be afraid to move along and do the things that you have to do for yourself and for your loved ones. So that was really good. That was really good. So through all of that, since we've gone through your did you want to share your story? I know you had a story to share from this experience. I know you did.
Yeah. So you mentioned the freedom. Fear will keep you from freedom.
Yes.
Fear will keep you hemmed up in a corner, being insecure and scared and not making a move. And so without moving, there's no progress.
For sure.
And my story was just simply that, I was at the time I was in my 20s. I was going through a divorce, which is a hard time, or at the time a separation, and didn't feel like I had the support and or resources that I needed to make it through. And so I did something different. I was relying on, not all the time will family help you, or they cannot actually help you sometimes, meaning you can't just give all your worry to one person and expect them to help you work it out. So I just continued to pray. I did make my petitions known to certain other believers in hopes that whatever resource they could share, that they would, and that did happen, and that was a blessing as well. And then I told you I confided in a friend to let them know what it is that I was looking for, what it is that I needed, and I ended up getting, what I needed, which was actually, having the place to stay. Once I was able to clear my mind, I was able to return to school to secure and complete my undergraduate degree. That was something wise that I did for my child and myself. And then, just going back into the workforce with a plan that no matter where I start, it's a start.
Yes.
Don't stress myself out. It's not the ending. It's a start. And so all of those things actually mattered. I was blessed to get a job. I was trying to, get something that I really wasn't equipped to have, or a position that I wanted, but I really wasn't equipped to have it. But once I released all of this preconceived belief, hey, that I wanted what Sally has, the Lord just made everything that I need fall into place. And that's the thing, everything that I need. And from my need, I was able to grow into wanting more, getting more, doing more. And so there is life after disappointment. Know that there is life after divorce. Know that there is life after a job loss. None of these things define you. None of them. So just keep that in mind. You are still beautiful. You are still loved. You are still wise. And every day, each of us can add to the fact that, hey, I learned something yesterday that I didn't know today. And just grow from there.
That's good stuff. That is really good advice that Chandra gave us. So do you ever have the old version of yourself that you're loyal to?
Ooh, that's a good one. The old version of myself, yes, I do, that I am loyal to a fault would be not putting myself first. Aside from the Lord, aside from my God, not putting myself first. And so, again, we already know we cannot help our children if we're not here. And in order for me to be here, I have to put my oxygen mask on first, as they tell us on the plane. Right. And so that is something to a fault. I realize that I still do to this day, whether it's, children, grandchildren, I realize that I do that, and I'm really trying to do better.
I think that's an everybody thing, especially if you're a caregiver. You know what I mean? You just don't know when to say, "Oh, it's my turn." So you have to. You have to. A parent, it's just a new skill. I call it, to learn. So So that's good information, though. So why does sometimes being misunderstood, I know you've gone through a lot of those things, feel sometimes heavy than misaligned?
Well, a lot of times when we're going through change and we have not completed that cycle of change, we are even misaligned. And that's not a negative thing, but others can look at it in that way. As we're trying to grow, it might be misalignment with a friend or spouse because we haven't communicated to them what we're trying to do. And so, with us being friends, I need to let you know, if I'm wanting you to be a part of my tomorrow and understanding my growth, or to continue to understand me, then I need to let you know as my friend that, hey, these are some things that I'm trying to do to better myself, and I just want you to know you may not see me doing X, Y, Z.
For sure.
That's just like when people say they're giving up abuses, whether it's overeating, drinking, or smoking of any type. If you don't let those friends know who are around you normally when you're doing those things, they won't understand what's going on, and you're going to have misalignment within friendships.
For sure. It's kind of like you just have to tell them your new you, right? So you've said a lot of those things. So now we have to redefine what growth looks like. So why do people sometimes confuse growth with arrogance?
you're a new person and they're not used to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not used to you being that person. That's why. Yeah. That's what that is. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Makes sense. So how can growth actually be an act of obedience?
I think when we are definitely with the obedience part, when we are trying to do something better for ourselves, I do believe that we act accordingly, right? So again, we're growing. We're not going to be the same old person that you used to see. So people that don't understand what you're doing or where and how you're growing, they're not going to understand it. So they're going to take it as arrogance versus growth. But again, like you said earlier, that misalignment happens when we don't communicate to each other what we're doing. Gotcha. When somebody says, "Hey, I'm not gonna be smoking. Hey, when we go out, I'm not gonna be drinking." If they know that ahead of time, then they won't think that you're acting peculiar. They'll say, "Hey, she made it clear that she's not gonna be drinking anymore."
Okay, so Chandra has given us a lot of information to ponder on, to make applications for our lives, to put these things in place. So what we're going to ask you then, Chandra, what would it look like to fully embrace who you're becoming if we had to give this information to the audience?
I would say as long as the person who's wanting to make a change in their lives have defined for themselves what that actually looks like, and then they share it with someone who can hold them accountable, I do believe that would be a clear view as to what success would look like as to them trying or them becoming a new person.
That's good. And then again, we want to know also, why doesn't growth require permission, now that we've talked about this?
Because growth can definitely be an instant decision, just a really quick decision that someone has made based on something that they saw and didn't like regarding oneself, or the fact that they just want to show up different. That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I think. That's what I think.
That makes sense. Okay. So you guys have got value from Chandra. Chandra is an author. I'm going to let her share her contact after I ask the questions here. But we're going to ponder on some questions, some things that you can work on yourself this week. You're going to ask yourself, what version of yourself that you're afraid to let go? That's something for you guys to write down, figure out what that looks like for yourself. And then what is the old label or the role or the identity that no longer fits you? Okay, so these are things that you're going to talk about within yourself, self-to-self talk, or however, talk to your friend. And then here's another one to ponder on. What would obedience look like this week for you to move forth and outgrow your old self? So again, in closing, this was our final series of the Becoming. We want to really encourage you to make these shifts, to change and develop who you are and become who God has ordained you to become. And again, we are so grateful for the nuggets Chandra gave us today. She is an author, brand new, and I'm going to let her share her information. And if you would like to go and pick up a book from hers, she'll be happy to sell it for you. So go ahead, Chandra.
Thank you so much, Musudeenia. Yes. Thank you so much. The book is Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 19. And I am a co-author with Jim Britt. And I am so excited that this book, my portion of the book, or my chapter of the book is called Reset Your Life. So as we're talking about becoming, we're talking about growing. Resetting your life is about wanting to do something different in order to get a better result based on where you currently are today. I do want to encourage you again to get the book called Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 19, Jim Britt, Britt, and Chandra Green. I'm a co-author within this book. This is a self-help book. This book talks about, we have wealth information from millionaires, until, millionaires up to, teachers, and then people like myself who are first-time authors. So I'm just hoping that you will support me, and I appreciate you allowing me to be here today.
Yes, and we are so grateful for the wisdom that God has given you. And again, we thank our audience for listening and following Live Courageous. So we do have a Facebook page. It's Live Courageous, and we have Instagram. Also, you can follow us there. And of course, like us on the YouTube channel. Again, this is Musudeenia, your host with Live Courageous Podcast. And thank you so much, Chandra, for giving us some nuggets today. Thank you.
Absolutely.
God bless.
Take care.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.